5 days, 50 artists. One incredible celebration of local creativity. The Village Conservatory is preparing for its Inhibition Exhibition, a festival dedicated to new works by local creatives ranging from musicals to straight theater to cabaret. The festivities kick off tonight at the Gargoyle Theater and run until this coming Sunday. I'm joined live in the Classic 107 studios by Daphne Finlayson, the producer of the Inhibition Exhibition. Good morning to you, Daphne.
Good morning.
We're also joined by Susan Castellon, one of the performers in the Inhibition Exhibition's sort of main attraction, I suppose you could call it, Mindful Mayhem. Good morning to you, Susan.
Good morning to you, too.
So, okay, maybe we can go with a wide lens to start here, Daphne. For those who might not be familiar with the Village Conservatory, what is it and what role does it hold in Winnipeg's sort of cultural ecosystem?
Yeah, so the VIX started in 2019, and one of the big reasons why we exist is because we noticed that there was a lack of training opportunities at the post-secondary level for people who wanted to get more well-rounded as musical theater artists. We had music and dance and theater, but they were all kind of annexed in their own respective programs. And if you wanted to do all three at the same time, you had to leave the province. And we want to keep Manitoban artists in Manitoba. Crazy, crazy prospect. So the VIC started as a way to answer that need. And yeah, the whole reason why we exist is because we want to continue giving a voice to Winnipeg artists and Manitoban creatives.
Even more important now than ever to be able to provide those sort of training opportunities locally for artists. Susan, how did you first get involved with the Village Conservatory?
Well, I actually started taking just the general musical theater classes at the RWB just for recreational purposes. And a friend from there recommended me to go on one of the attractions or events that the VIC provides, which is a lot of night music. It kind of went like, she said, hey, this is cool, you should go. I went, they were like, hey, we have a class. And I was like, I'm in. and I worked for the audition and thankfully got in.
Wow. How much fun is that? Okay, so now we've got a lot of night music, which I understand also is coming up in just a little while, but we'll talk. Yeah, so and we'll have to talk to you about that when that happens. But for today, there's so much to talk about with the Inhibition Exhibition. First of all, Daphne, tell me about the title.
Yeah, so we started the festival in 2021, kind of in the depths of COVID, as a way to showcase the work of our student body. And the title came about because we noticed that a lot of our students were dealing with really vulnerable, deep personal topics, but they wanted to explore them through art. And so the title of Inhibition Exhibition just kind of stuck, feel the rain on your skin, no one else can feel it for you, all that good stuff from Natasha Bedingfield. And yeah, so that was kind of the title for the 2021 edition. And then since then it's evolved to just the name of the festival to celebrate sharing what makes us happy and what's deep inside of our souls.
Perhaps less so unwritten than it was in 2021.
Yes, indeed.
Very fun. Okay, so then, Susan, within the Inhibition Exhibition, you are involved in something called the Mindful Mayhem.
Yes, I am.
Tell me, I understand that the participants in the Village Conservatory came up with this title. Where does that title come from?
Yes, so we're a very particularly close and a little quirky, who would have thought musical theater folks being
musical
quirky?
Theater kids? Come on.
Yes. And we kind of all gathered in a circle and we were talking about what three main descriptors kind of, were brought about when talking about our own pieces. And we had whimsical, we had mindful, we had mayhem, we had creative, we had a lot of these descriptors. And we kind of settled down on something that felt really true to us and to our class. After discussing it all together, we did a blind vote, and I'm pretty sure it was almost unanimous that we went for Mindful Mayhem, which is just a beautiful juxtaposition when you think about it.
Absolutely, especially looking at the wide range of performances within Mindful Mayhem, ranging from everything from original songs to theater creations to musical theater, on and on it goes. Maybe, Daphne, you can speak a little bit to the curation process for these works. How do you go about choosing performances to include in this, and then how maybe they get developed?
Yeah, so for our community cabaret and for the stage reading that's happening on the Sunday of the festival, we just post an open call for submissions, and anyone with a story to tell is welcome to submit. And then from there, we just picked the ones that were the most ready to be performed. And so we also wanted to focus on a great mix of diversity of perspectives, of backgrounds, and also art forms. So it wasn't just all music all the time for 10 straight acts.
Sure.
And because we are an interdisciplinary festival, we wanted to expand our reach to not just other theater creatives, but give a platform to burlesque artists, to people who are creating new original music, to short films, just making sure that we're always going outside of our bubble to see who's making cool stuff that we don't yet know.
That strikes me, as you're talking about all of this,
Yeah.
there is so much joy that is emanating from the both of you. For the radio audience, they have not stopped smiling.
Yeah,
Neither
that's right.
Daphne or Susan this entire time. Maybe you can talk a little bit, Susan, about what the atmosphere has been like as you've been creating your pieces and participating in the Village Conservatory more broadly.
Yes, absolutely. So getting into musical theater professionally is something that I had always wanted, but I was a little intimidated by. But being in the Village Conservatory, like all of those fears have really just washed away.
Wow.
The creators, Daphne and everyone, like they've been amazing. And I think, I might be a little biased in saying that my class is particularly special in how we have been relating to each other. I feel like we have connected in a very deep level, and we understand each other really well. And the way that we are kind of acting in each other's pieces and able to relate to our stories in these pieces that most of them are extremely personal to each other, and it's just been a wonderful, I dare even say almost magical experience, and it's made me probably the happiest I've been in a couple of years.
Daphne, how does it feel to hear those words about this program that you're so deeply involved in and hearing the life that it gives to emerging performers in the city?
It's a wonderful endorsement of everything that we want to do. We want to give our community the confidence they need to do whatever their heart desires. And yeah, we get very protective of every batch of students that comes through our doors, and we just want to wish them the best. The reason why we're called the Village Conservatory is because we believe that theater is a village and we all need to take care of each other. And so every new artist that passes through our doors is now a part of our village.
Aw.
And now these kids are too.
So let's get down to a little bit of the brass tacks here
Yeah.
with the, maybe we can start with the Inhibition Exhibition a little bit more broadly here, Daphne. Starting tonight, Wednesday, you have your community cabaret that you touched on. What can people expect from that?
Yeah, it offers a wonderful kind of tasting menu of what's coming up in local theater, particularly for the 2025 Winnipeg Fringe Festival. We have a lot of people who are writing new musicals specifically for the Fringe. Things like a gender-swapped Fight Club musical, and a local award-winning group, JHT Creative, is creating a boy band musical. And yeah, so much wonderful creation are happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want to get a sneak peek of what to expect at this year's Fringe, this is probably the best way to do that in the winter months.
Awesome. And then we have the Mindful Mayhem that we've been talking, Susan, that you're performing in. Tell us a little bit about your contribution to Mindful Mayhem.
Yes, so I'm in a total of 4 pieces, including my own. There are a variety. 2 of them are more comedy, happy musical. The other 2 are a little more deep, including mine. My piece specifically is sort of a contemporary modern type of piece. It involves original composition with sort of artistic interpretive dance and spoken word poetry all interlaced with one another that together tell the story of a family kind of going in an adventure to a new place and the intricacies of the psychological relationships that can take place. Because, every time there's a change, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, but you can always find the hope within the darkness.
Wow. It strikes me, again, very poignant for the current mood that we find ourselves in here in the city of Winnipeg and in Canada more broadly. Talk about that collaboration process as you're involved, not only creating your own piece, but also chipping in on other pieces produced by your class.
Yes. So it was really funny because I just said out loud, like, if anyone wants me in their piece, I'm so happy to do so. And I just kind of forgot about it. And then people, like they were like, hey, you could be in my piece. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then I was like, oh, I'm in 4 pieces. Let's go. And it was really exciting. I particularly love the fact that it's quite a perfect balance between like deeper topics and more like exciting, lighter and even funny topics, because it gave like the full range of emotions. I was able to explore both, especially as an emerging young actress, that I am able to express myself in so many different ways, play interesting characters. And with my own, since it is a story that is very deeply personal to my heart, it was wonderful to have the peers that I've been working with for so long be a part of it and truly understand the story and be able to tell it. I honestly couldn't have asked for, better people to do this with.
It sounds like, not only a delightful collaboration, but also quite a vulnerable one in a way to share this on the stage coming up at the Gargoyle Theater. As you're developing into this emerging artist that you're clearly striving so hard to become, what's it like to explore sort of this wide gamut of emotions that you've been describing sort of in an everything everywhere all at once kind of a style?
Well, it's been wonderful, honestly. I've always been a person that I welcome the craziness because I sometimes have a little bit of anxiety and I want to control things, but theater is all about letting go of that and being able to just feel the moment and be in the moment, and I just think that's absolutely wonderful. It is particularly beautiful when you're doing it in an environment where you feel safe as well, to be able to express and even say like, hey, I need to take a moment. That was a little deep. That was, gotta take a breath there, and have people be like, yeah, go ahead, and then just continue on.
Speaking more so to that support that you were talking about before and this wonderful culture that's being fostered at the Village Conservatory, for all of the promise of these new productions, Daphne, the festival is also going to be exploring some productions that maybe should have been left in the rehearsal hall? Question mark. What can you tell us about the musical tour as it's being branded? Should this be a musical taking place this weekend?
Yeah. Back in 2020, as a pandemic project, my friends and Paul DeGurse and Jillian Willems and I all got together to start a podcast called Monkeys and Playbills, after a song of the same name from the musical title of Show, which is all about musicals that flopped before hitting 100 performances. So this cabaret is our kind of way of exploring some of the hidden gems of these musicals, because there's some good songs to be found in otherwise not great shows, but there's also some really bad songs that exist. And it's just fun to see people like Stephen Sondheim and Andrew Lloyd Webber, who have had some amazing hits, but also some really, really dark times in their career. And Jillian and Paul have put together a really wonderful, funny evening celebrating the best of the worst.
A fun way to explore these musical theater composers who we lionize in a lot of ways, and they're up there for a reason, but not everything can be a hit.
Yep.
It's hilarious. The festival, you touched on this also, the festival concluding with the reading of a new play called Sinking Ship, I understand.
Yeah.
What is that about, and what's that going to look like as a new piece of theater being shared?
Yeah, so this is one of the really big parts of developing a new play, is hearing what an audience thinks about it for a first time. What bits are hitting, what jokes are landing, all of that good stuff that you can't get from just reading it on a page. And so local playwright Ethan Stark has written this piece. It's a genderqueer retelling of the myth of the River Styx. So there's a ferryman named Karen who ferries people from one side of the River Styx to the other after they pass away. And one day they discover that their childhood best friend has landed up on their boat. And they've been lonely for millennia on end, and maybe they're not so quick to let them go. Yeah, so that is taking place on the Sunday of the festival. And again, it's a great insight into what's going on in Winnipeg theater for people who want to see what's coming up from local artists.
Right. An incredible array of performances coming up through the Inhibition Exhibition. What do you think, Susan, as you contemplate, maybe it's too soon to think about the end of this wonderful festival, but what do you think you'll take away from these performances this week?
I think probably going to take away the fact that there's really so much potential in each and every one of us. Before starting this process, creation wasn't even in like the atmosphere for me. I didn't even think I was capable of getting to this point, much less being part of such an amazing festival with so many new works. I'm definitely going to take away the relationships that I have built and the love for theater and all the experience that I've gained, and definitely keep applying all the lessons that I've learned thus far into my future career, and hopefully helping out, people that are also emerging.
Yeah.
in it.
Daphne, I understand there's more than one way to be involved in this festival beyond just being a performer. I think you might still be looking for some volunteers, perhaps?
Absolutely. If you or someone you know want to volunteer in our front of house as an usher, that's always a great help to help support the performing arts. Volunteer. We need you.
We will be sure to let people know how they can do that at our website, classic107.com, and on the Classic 107 app. Daphne Finlayson and Susan Castellon, thank you so much for joining us in the Classic 107 studios to tell us about Inhibition Exhibition and Mindful Mayhem.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.